Welcome. I'm Dawn Hayes. As you're signing in, feel free to grab a blanket and spread it out so it covers half of your sticky mat. You're going to want it under your head and under your hips. We're going to start on the back this morning. However it works for your space, if you don't have a blanket, a beach towel works really well because it's nice and wide and long. And then go ahead and take your feet and take soles of feet to floor, knees bent, and pause for just a moment and check in with what you're noticing. You might notice a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of stress. So as you take these first few moments to arrive, lying on your back, on your blanket, hips and head supported by that soft, slippery surface. As you take your feet about mat width apart, bring arms out to the sides and tip your knees to the right like windshield wipers. Exhale, come back to center. Inhale, tip your knees to left. Exhale, return to center. And do this a few times. As you encourage and invite this swooshing in your body, notice how you feel. And allow this rocking movement to soothe or smooth out any uncertainty or strain. Then next time your knees are in the center, pause there for a moment. Interlace your fingers behind the back of your head like a hammerhead shark and slide your upper body to one side. And exhale back to center. Inhale, slide your shoulders, your elbows, keeping them near the floor. You're making a bit of a crescent shape with your waist. And do that side to side. In some ways, this makes me think of like a slinky, where one side gets a little shorter as the other side widens. And if that image of the slinky helps you, you can imagine of your rib basket being like the coils of the slinky. Your ribs come together on one side as they widen apart on the other side. The next time you slide your upper back to one side, tip your knees opposite. So you're combining hammerhead shark and windshield wipers. And this starts to feel to me a bit like a sea anemone. As you move like the sea anemone in the tide pool, there's a little bit of movement that's initiated from within you. And there's movement that's also following the tide of your breath. Notice what's most obvious, and what's a bit more subtle. And then next time you're in the center, pause there. Walk your feet so they're about hip distance apart. Inhale, press your elbows into the earth. Tilt your tailbone into the earth and arc your ribs up towards the sky. On your exhale, scoop tailbone towards ceiling, curl head and elbows up off the floor and elbows towards one another, and press your ribs, your middle back to the floor. Inhale, lower elbows back down, shoulders on the earth, tailbone to the earth, ribs arc up towards the sky. Exhale, front ribs move towards the floor, tailbone towards your knees, head and elbows scoop off the floor. And do this a few more times, following this wave-like pattern to your breath, inviting your front body and your back body to be in conversation with one another. The next time you lift and scoop, twist both elbows towards one of your hips. Inhale, lower to the floor, elbows widen. And lift and scoop, elbows towards other hip. Inhale, back to the floor, elbows press down, ribs arc up towards ceiling. And try that twisting movement a few times. The next time you lift, add knee moving towards elbows. And invite attention to include that which is obvious and that which is subtle. And then next time you finish the round you're on, return to the earth. Bring your arms by your sides, straighten your legs, and pause in Shavasana for a moment. When we explore and have a conversation with the body, you might imagine that your body's language or way of speaking to you is with sensation. And your way of responding to your body is with some combination of movement and stillness. And so as you soak into this pause, into this stillness, can you feel the way the movement settles slowly into your body as you pause? When you're ready, bend your knees, bring the soles of your feet to the floor, and scoop your tailbone towards your knees. So you're really pressing the low back towards the earth. You might even push your feet a little bit into the floor. Now, as much as is possible, take your front ribs and start to press them down towards the earth and a little bit towards your thigh bones, towards your front hip bones. Now interlace your fingers in front of you and make figure eights with your wrists. You can pretend you have a pen hooked in your knuckles and you're tracing these figure eights on the ceiling. Now change directions with your figure eights. Chances are it feels more awkward than you were expecting and a little bit tricky for your brain, which is a good thing in the middle of the day. And then when you're ready, press your palms up towards the ceiling with your fingers interlaced. And is it possible to spread the webbing of your hand as well as your forearm? Now, can you keep your ribs pressing towards the floor? The front ribs move towards your back ribs. Your back body is long, and slowly reach your arms overhead and towards the earth. Really widening the wrists, the forearms, but also stretching the side body long where it connects to your arms. Now, if your ribs have popped off the floor, you've gone farther than what your shoulders are allowing you to do, and you're using your ribs to move your shoulders. You're using your spine to move your shoulders. So if possible, keep your abdominal basket and core strong as you press your front ribs towards the floor and keep that steady. And then just notice with your rib basket really stable, how long, how far can you reach the arms overhead towards the earth? There's not a prize if you get your hands to touch the floor. I'm really sorry you don't have any gold stars today. So just notice what it's like for you and know that what you discover gives you insight into how your body is moving today. Doesn't really have any other big judgments or accomplishments besides the experience of moving in the moment. Then when you're ready, release your arms. You can shake your hands out and roll to one side, come up into the table position. And as you fold up your blanket, you can have your knees on your blanket if that gives you a little extra cushion. And then with your hands on the floor, tuck your toes under and lift into downward facing dog. As you come into the down dog, lift and lower your heels a few times, feeling the pumping action of your feet and your ankles. You might nod your head yes a few times, shake it no. And then when you're ready, keep your feet where they are and walk your hands towards your feet. At some point, your heels will come to the floor. You can move the blanket off to the side and check in with what it's like to walk your hands towards your feet. Then repeat that, walking back out into the downward facing dog, or reverse that, coming into down dog. And repeat it once or twice more. Hands walk towards your feet, noticing the way your shoulders, your wrists, your upper body connects to the earth. Hands walk back away from your feet. And try that 1 or 2 more times if this is feeling okay in shoulders and wrists. As you walk your hands in, pretend like you're a cat and you're pawing your tippy fingers into the floor, even as your palm stays rooted onto the floor. As you do your last one here, could you make a little smaller steps with your hands? So they're really tiny. And it takes you longer for the hands to walk in. And it takes you longer for the hands to walk back out. Now this time, as you walk your hands out, bring your hips with you, coming into plank pose, but you're walking your way into plank pose. As you push into your hands, make your legs strong, and notice what you feel in your shoulders. They may be a little tired or a little warm. Now bring your knees to the floor and come back into child's pose, hips to heels. Now, would it be possible, with your arms extended overhead and your palms off the floor, could you lift one hand off the floor so it hovers about an inch or so off the floor in child's pose? Bring it back down. Now lift the other arm off the floor. Again, it hovers a little bit off the earth, palm 1, 2 inches off the earth, lower back down. Try that again. This time, try not to twist your torso, so you keep your ribs evenly connected to your thighs, and focus more on the shoulder doing the work instead of the torso helping. And do that 1 or 2 more times, really focusing on some abdominal bracing, which is a way to prevent the spine from moving, and walk hand off the floor. When both hands are back down, you've done even number on both sides. Slide onto your belly. Pause there for just a moment. And you make sure you have some space off to the sides. So if you're in a narrow space, creep yourself over to the right side of that space so you have room for your left arm out to the side. And then take your hand down by your waist. So your palm will start up towards the ceiling. Now on your inhale, actually turn your palm to the floor. On your inhale, sweep the left fingers on the floor out to the side and then up by your ear. And on exhale, sweep the fingertips out to the side and back by your waist. And do that a couple times. So the fingertips trace on the floor, but the palm is lifted. There will be some shoulder action here. The next time you sweep the arm up by the ear, try it with your hand floating off the floor. So now it's hovering in space. The next time, with the hand hovering off the floor, when the arm comes by your ear, bend your elbow and pretend you have a scratch at the base of your neck you're trying to get with your fingertips. So your hand comes behind your neck towards where your neck meets your upper back. And then as you take the arm out to the side and down, again, it's hovering off the floor. Turn your palm up towards the ceiling and now sweep the hand to your low back
And pretend like you're trying to get up between your shoulder blades to scratch and itch there. Repeat that a couple more times. Arm out to the side, up towards the ceiling, hand comes behind your head and neck. Reverse, arm out to the side, palm turns to face the ceiling as you creep your fingers up towards your shoulder blades. Try that 1 or 2 more times, depending on how this is feeling for you. If you go a little faster, it'll probably make it a bit easier. So if you're getting tired, you can sense into that. Then when you're ready, rest for a moment in the center and just notice right side, left side, what are you feeling? And then when you're ready, go ahead and creep to the other side of your space so that you have room for the arm to go out to the side. Again, that's if you're in a kind of a short space or a narrow space. If it's more comfortable, you can use your other hand as a pillow for your head. So with tippy fingers on the floor, palm lifted, start to trace a circle on the floor out to the side. And as you trace that circle a few times, your hand just lightly brushes the floor, kind of like a Japanese calligrapher. And as you do that a couple times, sensing into the range of motion in your shoulder and sensing into the feeling of lift that's happening. Now on your next round, try floating your arm in space through this circular pattern. With the hand hovering off the floor, the arm and the shoulder has to do a little bit more room, or has to do a little bit more work, sorry. Now on the next round, you slide your hand behind your head like you have an itch between your, at the upper back base of neck. And then when your hand comes down behind you, turn the palm up towards the ceiling and creep your fingers up towards your shoulder blades like you've got an inch in the upper back. And do that a couple times. Adding the bent elbow position to the end of the range here. Going slow enough to feel the strength required of your shoulder. And the strength this movement develops in your shoulder. And then as you finish the one you're on, take your hands back to the earth and lift up into downward facing dog. Notice how it feels to hold in the downward dog after exploring the range of motion of your shoulders. Lift your heels, look forward, and walk, step, or float your feet to meet your hands. Inhale, lift halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold in towards your feet. Inhale, come up to standing, reach your arms out to the sides like you just did on the floor. And exhale, arms come down by your sides. Inhale, sweep your arms out to the sides, reach for the ceiling. Exhale, hinge and fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift halfway, look forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward into plank. Push the floor away from you. What would it be like to hold plank for a minute? And as you start here, grip your fingers into the floor like a cat pawing the earth. Grip your toes into the floor and feel how that is almost like you're trying to make a fist with your toes. As you do both of those things at the same time, try to pull your hands towards your feet and your feet towards your hands. If you remember back to when you walked your feet in the down dog, it's like that, but it's isometric. There's a sense of strength and stability. You've got 15 seconds left if you choose. Keep that sense of pulling hands towards feet and feet towards hands. Then at the end of this round here, so 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down chaturanga. And inhale either cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Inhale, reach your right leg up towards the ceiling. Make some circles with your right ankle. Go the other direction. Exhale, step your right foot forward between your hands. Feet about hip distance apart. Lift up, take your hands to your front thigh, and draw your navel to your spine like you're doing the cat tilt. As you round your front body towards your back body, really create a sense of dome or lift from the front of the ribs up towards the ceiling. If you choose, hover your arms off to the side like an airplane. Lean a little to one side, keeping torso about the same height, but rotating a little to tip one fingertip towards the floor. As you try that a few times, you'll get more strength from your front body if you lift your hips a little higher. So if you come really low into that front hip joint, then you're going to rely on bones instead of muscles. Then next time your arms are out to the sides, inhale, sweep your arms up by your ears, lift your chest. Pause here, your choice. You could stay stable and hold the high lunge, or as you exhale, lower your arms down and straighten your front leg. Inhale, bend your front knee, lift your arms up. So we've been playing a lot with this arm out to the side movement today. And if this is feeling good to you, you can continue to explore it. Noticing how it feels to approach movement and stillness as if they're a language that you're using to speak with your body. And can you use this language in a way that's respectful and compassionate, in a way that's supportive, and perhaps challenging, but in a way that builds strength? Exhale, downward facing dog, hands to the earth, finding that mini pause. Then from your down dog, inhale into plank. Now we're going to do a slow motion chaturanga. So it might be helpful to have your knees on the floor for a short plank. On your exhale, lower for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg reaches for the sky. Make some circles with your left foot. Ankle, go the other direction. Exhale, giant step forward, left foot between your hands. Take your hands to your front thigh and round or scoop your front body towards your back body like you're a Halloween cat. And feel that sense of from the front body. It's a technical term. When you're ready, bring your arms out to the side like airplane and keep that sense of strength. So torso stays at the same height, but you might rotate or tip a little from side to side. And as you rotate or tip a little from side to side, feel that inner strength, connecting a little more deeply to the earth. But also connecting to the front of your spine as that strength, stable, supportive place. Inhale, lift torso, arms by the ears, coming into high lunge. Your choice, you can hold the high lunge and stay in one position, or straighten legs, float arms down as you exhale. Inhale, bend your knees, sweep arms up. Noticing if your shoulders would prefer a break, taking hands to hips, or how it feels to honor your body's request for either movement or stillness. So I'm moving in and out of the lunge, but you might choose to hold it. On your next exhale, downward facing dog. Let's try that slow motion chaturanga again. So inhale to plank, your choice, legs strong and lifted, or knees to the floor, belly strong and lifted. Lower for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. From your down dog, pause. Take a breath for nothing. Might feel good to nod your head yes a few times, to shake your head no a few times. When you're ready, lift your heels, look forward, step or hop your feet to meet your hands. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, push through the feet, reach for the sky. Exhale, arms by your sides. Take a breath for nothing. How has your heart rate and breath pattern changed since you were lying on your back? When you're ready, inhale, chair pose. Bend your knees, reach your arms up. Exhale, return to standing, arms by your sides. So same arm movement we did on the floor and you've been playing with in practice. As you lift and lower, follow your breath into and out of the chair pose. Using this repetition of movement to create an anchor for your mind and your attention. Then next time you're in the chair pose, hold there. So you can keep your arms by your ears or you can take hands to hips. As you settle into the chair, what's it like to push a little bit through the heels? And then to lean a little through the balls of your feet. And once again, lean back towards your heels and press more into the balls of your feet. You can now find the space between front and back. So can you evenly balance over the arches of your feet? On your exhale, fold forward, hinging from your hips. Inhale, lift halfway, look forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. This time, let's try a 3-count chaturanga and then push back up to plank. So on your exhale, 3, 2, 1, inhale back to plank. Let's try that again. You can go a little lower or stay a little higher with your shoulders. Exhale, 3, 2, 1, push away from the floor. If you'd like, one more time, chaturanga. This time, inhale into cobra or up dog, pushing away from the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift right leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bend your knee, make big circles with your thigh bone. Go the other direction. Inhale, lift right leg up and back. Exhale, step forward, warrior 2. Ground your left heel. Inhale, turn open to the side of your mat as you lift up. Your choice, hands to hips or arms can stay out to the sides. You can experiment with turning palms up and bend your elbows like, it looks like if you remember back to I Walk Like an Egyptian, those music videos back when MTV used to play music, and sink a little deeper through your front thigh. Now, what's it like to squeeze your elbows in towards your waist and then reach out away from you? Now, if you happen to have blocks or like 2-pound weights, you can add blocks into each hand, and that will give you a little bit more strength building today. On your next exhale, tip your right forearm to your thigh and take your left hand to your hip and pause for a moment. Now I'm going to come closer to the camera to show this next part. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your top hand behind your back. So you'll start with thumb down and you'll slide the hand behind you. Then, if it's okay on shoulder, instead of the hand resting on your body, push it away from you. So you're actively pressing the hand into space. And what's it like to hold there? My left side of my neck is feeling a little achy today, so I'm going to look to the floor. You decide. Look to the floor, look straight in front of you. Those options will help to create a little bit more length in the neck if there's the space to do so. Then we're going to reverse this movement like you did when you were on your belly. So turn the palm up towards the ceiling, sweep it overhead, pause there for a moment. Can you reach your arm long away from your hip and your heel? Then possibly bring your hand behind the base of your neck. You can pause there for a moment. Maybe it feels good to take a fistful of your t-shirt or a tank top. That feels better on my shoulder personally. Then unwind, unravel, sweep the arm behind your back once again, and repeat that 1 or 2 more times. And so you explored this movement on your belly, and now you'll do it in the side angle. Then next time the arm comes overhead, exhale, windmill towards the floor, downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, inhale, come forward into plank. Now pause and bring your knees to the floor and walk your hands out so they're wider than your sticky mat. So from the side or from the other view, the hands come way out to the sides of the shoulders, and then do a military style push up there. So toes will tuck under, knees lift possibly, or you can keep knees on the floor. Bend your elbows out to the sides and then push back up. And try that a couple times. Again, you can have knees on the floor or straight legs. Bend your elbows out to the sides, push back up. And you get to experiment. How wide does it feel good for you to go as you push up and down away from the floor? Then next time you're lifted up, if you like, you can do one last one by lowering all the way to the floor, taking tippy fingers to the earth, and with your leg or your arms wide, inhale into cobra. And then pause there for a moment. And exhale, downward facing dog. Hands back to shoulder distance apart. We'll do the second side of that side angle warrior series. Inhale, left leg up and back behind you. Exhale, step left foot forward. Inhale, warrior 2. Turning chest to the long edge of your mat. Optional, bend your elbows, palms turn up like you're carrying your heavy blocks. Or you can add, if you have like a 2-pound weight, those ankle weights work good for this. Or a small canned good. Something that gives you a little extra strength, a little extra challenge. When you're ready, you can take your blocks to the floor, tip your forearm to your thigh, and come into the side angle. Now, on the first side, we did the arm behind the back. So if that works for you here, Try that out. Hand comes behind your back, but instead of resting on your body, push it away from you. Feel the sense of strength that comes into the shoulder, the chest as it opens and turns. Could you keep stable with your feet? Then reach top arm up overhead and bring hand to the base of your neck. Oh, sorry, we lingered on the first side with the arm straight, so feel free to do that. Reach farther, fingertips as far away from your back heel like you're playing tug of war. And then hand behind the base of neck. And I like here to make a fist. So if it helps to grab a fistful of t-shirt, go ahead. You could also make a fist even if you don't have any t-shirt to grab. Notice how the tendency is for the ribs to come into that back bend. Scoop opposite, creating more stability in the belly. Then reverse this movement a few times, going slow and steady, allowing your body to explore whatever spectrum of the range that feels good to you. Then next time the arm is overhead, follow your exhale to downward facing dog. Pause there for just a moment. Now lower your knees to the floor. Again, pause for just a moment. Draw your navel towards your spine. So you're creating a little bit of strength in your front body. A great way to do that is to tuck your toes under and hover your knees a centimeter off the floor. So feel that strength. Now bring your knees back down and crawl your way forward a few steps. Feeling shoulders and hips. And then crawl backward a few steps. Now pause and tuck your toes under, lift your knees. Now keep your knees lifted and crawl your way forward a few steps. Now you could provide extra challenge by lifting hand and foot off the floor at the same time and setting them down at exactly the same moment. Chances are one will lead the other, as you're seeing me do. And then the next time you're in the table position, pause there, bring your knees to the floor. When you're ready, knees back up, downward facing dog. Walk your hands to meet your feet. Notice how that feels in your shoulders after all the work that you've done today. Then walk your hands back out in front of you, coming into the downward facing dog. This time, walk your feet to meet your hands. Heels turn in, toes turn out. Squat down, bring your hips towards the earth with your palms together. And take a moment to check in there. Notice what you feel. This is the Malasana position or the squatting pose. Then if it feels okay for you, take a seat on the floor. You can use your hands to help you get there. With your feet a little in front of you, hands to the earth, your choice. Fingers facing towards your heels could be one option. As you push hands and feet down, lift hips and spine up. Lower back to the floor, then turn fingers out to the sides. As you push hands and feet down, lift your hips up, lower back down. Notice hand position. Each time you do it, you could change it so it's a little different, or you could stick with the option that gives you the feeling of the most stability and ease. And then after you've tried a few of those options, go to the one that feels the best for you today and push into your feet and hold there in the reverse table. And notice what it feels like to root hands into the floor, feet down. Try to use your hands to pull your mat towards your feet and use your feet to pull your mat towards your hands. And again, feel that sense of whoosh from the back body now to lift the front. When you're ready, hips come back to the earth. Cross your ankles, come into downward facing dog. So this next piece is kind of like a stage of what we would call flipping the dog. So what you're gonna do for this is bring your knees to the floor. We're gonna start super low. It's more like flipping your table. Tuck your toes under, hover your knees about 2 inches off the floor. Now push into one side, hand and foot, and flip the other foot over, and then the other hand over. So now you're in that reverse table. To come back, push into the foot, the hand that's you just flipped over, and shift hand and foot back to the hovering table. And then again, if you're in a small space, feel free to adjust yourself and do the other side. So notice, does your foot step first or does your hand step first? Chances are the hand that stays on the floor will have to turn a bit to find the best orientation for movement here. Now your choice, you can repeat this a couple times, or you can come into that reverse table and hold, or you can come into the downward facing dog and hold. And check in with what it feels like to do this flipping movement. So this class was inspired by a student who requested some shoulder work. And she said, with all this stay-at-home stuff, she's found that there's been a lot of leg work this past couple weeks, which is what our theme was last week in class. When you're ready, bring your hips to your heels and pause in child's pose. This time, if it's comfortable for you, bring your hands by your feet and linger there for a moment. And check in with your breath. When you're ready, lift up to seated. And go ahead and grab your blanket, giving yourself something of a lift. And sit on the edge of your blanket with your legs extended out in front of you. And as you feel that sense of lift from the blanket, slowly slide one foot in towards you. So whichever one is the bent leg, hold on to that and lift tall through spine. Take your straight leg a few inches wider than your hips and slowly turn your belly towards your bent leg. As you turn your belly towards your bent leg, you might turn your head to look towards the wall behind you. And notice what you feel through the sides of your neck here. And allow that spiral, that turn to come from your center. Now, there's a strong tendency in the yoga practice to use the arms to pull yourself into the twist. Instead, try floating your arms in space and turn more from deep within your torso and the core of your body. De-rotate and switch sides. Bending the other knee, straightening opposite leg. Straight leg comes a little wider than hips. Again, sitting tall and gradually turn yourself around. As you gradually turn around, notice how your neck might feel different on the two sides, or the twist in general might feel different between the two sides. As we did on the other side, float your arms in space and see if you can turn from your torso instead of from your arms. And then de-rotate, both arms extend out in front of, or legs extend out in front of you. Take your hands next to your body and pause for just a moment seated. Then when you're ready, lower onto your back. If you happen to have a block nearby, you can use it to support your hips in the bridge pose in a little while. We'll do an active variation first. So pressing your feet down Slowly curl your spine away from the earth and up. As you push down into feet, you decide the best position for your arms and shoulders today. They could be down by your sides, interlaced underneath you. You can grab the sides of your sticky mat, which is a personal favorite of mine. Or maybe they come up overhead in kind of a wing type shape, like a diamond. And as you hold here, notice what you feel through the pushing of your feet, the lifting of your hips. Could you create a little bit more stability from your legs to help support the arc and lift of your spine? When you're ready, slowly roll your spine down. Can you feel one vertebra at a time set itself onto the earth? We all have different parts of the spine that lower in chunks. And so can you identify those spots in your body? When you're ready, lift once again. This time, slide the block underneath you if you have it nearby. Give yourself a little support. Again, arms wherever it's comfortable for you. If you don't have a block, you can use a folded up blanket or a very short step stool, something that gives you just a little bit of lift. A stack of books will work. Any lift under the hips will help to create a little bit more ease in the front body as you start to experiment with lifting one leg at a time up towards the ceiling. When and if it feels stable for you on your support, you could lift both legs up. And if you have something that's really squishy, it's most likely going to feel wobbly. So keep in mind, one foot on the floor is a wonderful way to create some stability. Optional, point and flex your feet a few times. Make some circles with your ankles. So the other reason I brought that reverse table pose in today is because I feel like many of us are spending a lot of time at a computer with the arms in front of the body. And so by doing the arms behind the body to bear weight, we brought a little bit more strength to and variability to your movements as a counterpose to keyboard asana. Whenever you feel ready to bring your feet to the floor, slowly lower them down. As you press feet into earth, slide the block out from underneath you and pause for a moment in neutral. And if there's any last pose you want to do before Shavasana, you're welcome to do so. You can take about a minute for that. And then when you feel ready, you set up for Shavasana. Now, legs up the wall or calves on a chair or your couch are wonderful ways to do the final relaxation. Shavasana can also be done on your side, on your belly, or even seated. And I'll come to sit a little closer to my computer as we finish. As you stay in whatever position works best for you, allow your body to soak into the support that you are setting up and offering yourself here. And give yourself these last few minutes to absorb your practice.
Gradually start to soak into your body. Before you move, offer yourself reverence and gratitude for making the time and the space in your day to practice, for taking the time to support community and coming together in practice, even if we can't be with each other physically. And sending both this gratitude and support to the community of practitioners, whether they be yoga or any other support you get in your life, so that we might return to practice with each other again soon. When you feel ready, roll to one side. Press your hands into the earth and use the strength of your bones to lift your way up to seated. Bring your palms together in front of your heart once you've lifted. As you pause here, take a moment to make an offering of your practice to someone or to something. It might be so simple as I offer this with love. I offer this with devotion, or I offer this with gratitude. And we'll close and seal this offering with one round of Om. Take a clearing breath. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your mouth. Om. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with us today. It's such an honor to be with you here.